One of the crucial success factors for any high-tech company is the way R&D personnel, scientists, engineers, programmers, relate and interact with marketing personnel, product marketing managers, marketing communication, market research analysts, and any outside consultants that might be hired. As we learned from the very start of this material, success in high-tech markets requires excellence in technological development and excellence in marketing. And this is manifested in the degree to which these two teams of people can come together and make decisions functionally and productively. It is also represented in the core competencies or the roots of the company's organization in terms of having expertise in both marketing and R&D. The fact is, this interaction between R&D and marketing is more important for complex products, uncertain environments, and projects where the front end of product development is very fuzzy and unclear in terms of what markets are actually going to be met by this new technological development. However, rivalry between R&D and marketing reduces their ability to collaborate. And in fact, rivalry between the two functions contributes to failure. Typically, each group has a unique role, where the goal of marketing is to bring the voice of the customer into the development process. In fact, there's a protocol developed by John Hauser out of MIT called Voice of the Customer, sometimes also called House of Quality. Chapter 6 in your book deals with a variety of information resources and market research tools that can be used to bring the voice of the customer into the company. Technical people bring the knowledge of what is technologically feasible and possible. And both of these groups together have to participate in engaging with customers to have a shared understanding of where the opportunities are. There are 4 critical steps to facilitate productive R&D marketing interactions, and I'm going to go through each of these 4 steps in turn because they are so critically important. First of all, we learned in Chapter 1 that the type of marketing strategy that a firm engages in has to be appropriately matched to whether the innovation is breakthrough or incremental. And this is true for the nature of the R&D marketing interaction. For example, for breakthrough products, it is critically important that R&D take the lead in terms of identifying what the technology is capable of. Both teams jointly have to understand what the market opportunities are in terms of the commercial opportunity, what vertical market or industry segment is most attractive and why, and what are the developmental priorities and milestones that need to be met to be successful, as well as the desired feature set. For incremental innovations, marketing typically takes the lead. In this case, R&D takes more of a backseat role and listens to what marketing says customers have articulated are important next steps in incremental development. In terms of the barriers to R&D marketing interaction, the fact is this dominant engineering culture of many high-tech firms creates an insurmountable barrier to collaboration. And in fact, what are sometimes referred to as jokes in high-tech companies are actually a sad indictment about this dominant engineering culture. Let me tell you what a few of these jokes might be. What is marketing research? Well, that's when marketing people go down to the engineering department to actually see what the company is working on. What is marketing? Well, that's something that you're forced to do if your products aren't selling. Other jokes appear on page 123, but again, what I highlight here is that these are really an indictment of an engineering-oriented culture. In fact, people who are oftentimes charged to engage in marketing activities are engineers who have never had any formal marketing training whatsoever. And oftentimes being moved into marketing is not considered to be a promotion. Engineers and marketers have very different values in terms of what motivates them professionally. What we see in this table is that the ambiguity tolerance differs, the way that the organizational structure works, the orientation to the profession differs, and in fact these differences oftentimes are so subtle that it makes it difficult for R&D and marketing personnel to interact. Moreover, these people are often physically separated, where marketing people are in one building and engineering people are in another. They don't have any opportunity for interaction. And when marketing people ask for resources, engineers oftentimes think that it comes out of their budget and they could have hired another technical person were it not for the need to develop a marketing brochure or attend a trade show. These should not be viewed as either-or decisions. In light of this, there are several wonderful pieces of research that talk about how to overcome these barriers and how marketing and R&D personnel can work together. First of all, it's important that the formal new product development process actually specify a role for the marketing voice in that process. Studies show that integrating the marketing voice early in the product development process enhances the odds of success in the marketplace. Other research shows that there are many informal techniques that marketing people can use to collaborate productively with their engineering counterparts. One of these is referred to as co-optation. How do you co-opt someone? Co-opting someone essentially means allowing them to collaborate with you by ensuring that their interests are actually aligned with your interests. This oftentimes requires an informal network where marketers can talk credibly with technical personnel about what the issues might be. Formal cooperation is also possible, and this oftentimes requires co-locating marketing and R&D personnel in similar physical locations to facilitate their opportunity for interaction. A commonly studied factor in R&D marketing interaction is communication, both in terms of frequency as well as content. And what's particularly interesting about communication is that there's an inverted U relationship between the amount of communication and the functional collaboration. Too little communication can actually be as problematic as too much communication. And so there's this idea of a moderate or an optimal level of communication that is just right. Constructive conflict resolution is key, and training people in their conflict styles and conflict resolution can definitely be helpful. There are a number of ways that a company can assess. Sorry, I've just gone through each of these points here: co-optation, cooperation, communication, and the idea of integration. It is possible to actually assess the degree to which marketing and R&D are functionally collaborating. For example, some of the items that can be used on page 127. To what extent do senior managers in marketing and engineering share values and perspectives? To what extent do marketing and engineering have compatible goals? To what extent do marketing and engineering respect each other's capabilities? Again, based on the score that companies give themselves, they can actually work to improve this very important collaborative interaction. Regardless of how productively marketing and R&D personnel interact, it is critically important to make sure that those interactions are grounded with a touch point in the marketplace. This little cartoon essentially says that if marketing and engineering are talking and they only ask the customer once, "Do you want our new technology?" and the customer says, "Sure," then marketing and engineering can go on and collaborate. But if they never ever have another touch point with the customer to ground that discussion, odds are they're going to get it wrong. I strongly encourage you to look at the 3 technology experts who provide their perspective on this important dynamic. Trina Finley is a business development product manager at Hewlett-Packard in the LaserJet division in Boise, and she has made a very successful career serving as a liaison between R&D and marketing. Jennifer Longstaff has also served as a technical marketing engineer that serves as a liaison. And Jack Troutman made it to one of the highest levels at Agilent Technologies, first by serving as the R&D manager and then as the marketing manager. This cross-functional training, where engineers are actually trained in marketing and vice versa, is critical to success.